And what monks is the noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of suffering. It is just this noble eightfold path, namely right view, right thoughts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. And what monks is right view? It is monks the knowledge of suffering, the knowledge of the origin of suffering, the knowledge of the cessation of suffering, the knowledge of the way of practice leading to the cessation of suffering. This is called right view. And what monks is right thought? The thought of renunciation, thought of non-ill will, thought of harmlessness. This monks is called right thoughts. And what monks is right speech? Refraining from lying, refraining from slander or carrying tales to cause disharmony, refraining from that. Refraining from harsh speech or coarse speech, refraining from frivolous speech or gossip. This is called right speech. And what monks is right action? Refraining from taking life, refraining from taking what is not given, refraining from sexual misconduct. This is called right action. And what monks is right livelihood? Here monks, the Aryan disciple, having given up wrong livelihood, keeps himself by right livelihood. And what monks is right effort? Stop here for a moment. This right livelihood is to find your livelihood in a way that does not harm oneself and others. And what monks is right effort? Here monks, a monk arouses his will, makes an effort, stirs up energy, exerts his mind, and strives to prevent the arising of unarisen, evil, unwholesome mental states. Similarly, he arouses his will to overcome evil, unwholesome mental states that have arisen. Thirdly, arouses his will to produce unarisen, wholesome mental states. Fourthly, arouses his will to maintain wholesome mental states that have arisen. This is called right effort. And what monks is right mindfulness or right recollection? Here monks, a monk abides contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly aware and mindful. Similarly, abides contemplating feelings in feelings, mind in mind, Dhamma in Dhamma. This is called right mindfulness. And what monks is right concentration? Here a monk, detached from sense desires, detached from unwholesome mental states, enters and remains in the first jhana. Similarly, with the second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. This is called right concentration. And that, monks, is called the way of practice leading to the cessation of suffering. So he abides contemplating Dhamma in Dhamma internally, contemplating mind, Dhamma in Dhamma externally, both internally and externally. He abides contemplating arising factors in Dhamma, vanishing factors in Dhamma, arising and vanishing factors in Dhamma. Or else mindfulness that there is Dhamma is present just to the extent necessary for knowledge and awareness. And he abides detached, not grasping at anything in the world. And that, monks, is how a monk abides contemplating Dhamma in respect of the Four Noble Truths. Whoever monks should practice these four intense states of mindfulness for just 7 years may expect one of two results, either arahantship in this life, or if there should be some substrate left, the state of non-returner or anagamin. Let alone 7 years. Whoever should practice them for 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year may expect one of two results similarly. Let alone 1 year. Whoever should practice them for 7 months, 6 months, 5, 4, 3 months, 1 month, half a month, let alone half a month. Whoever should practice these four intense states of mindfulness for just 1 week or 7 days may expect one of two results, either arahantship in this life, or if there should be some substrate left, the state of non-returner, anagamin. It was said, there is, monks, this one-way path to the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and distress, for the disappearance of pain and sadness, for the gaining of the right path, for the realization of Nibbana, that is to say, the four intense states of mindfulness. And it is for this reason that it was said. Thus the Lord spoke, and the monks rejoiced and were delighted at his words. That's the end of the sutta. So here you see, the last part the Buddha says, if you really practice the four Satipatthanas for 1 week, you can become an arahant. So you think carefully, if you just practice mindfulness for 1 week, can you become an arahant? No. But because it is intense state of mindfulness, intense means unremitting unremitting mindfulness on one object. Unremitting, not even for a second, your mindfulness slips. That means you don't really sleep. So you see, somebody like Mahamoggallana, he became enlightened in 7 days, the shortest period for any Arahant, any of the Buddha's disciples. How did he do it in 7 days? He didn't sleep. That's why in the suttas we find he was able to enter the first jhana. Then after that, the sloth and torpor came and he started to nod his head. Then the Buddha was watching him from afar using psychic power. Then the Buddha came out of his body in a golden body out to the head and went to him and told him, Moggallana, be mindful, don't be drowsy. Then he got a shock. He didn't expect the Buddha to come all the way from so far to in the middle of the night to tell him to be mindful. So then immediately he strove harder. So for 7 nights he didn't sleep. So he knew the Buddha was watching him all the time. So he practiced extremely hard. So 7 days, 7 nights, he became enlightened. That is what I mean by intense states of mindfulness. Normally you see, like here they translate it on the foundations of mindfulness. You practice the foundations of mindfulness, you won't become enlightened in 7 days. But you can become enlightened in 7 days if you practice intense state of mindfulness, which means unremitting mindfulness, unslipping mindfulness on one object. Say for example, the breathing. You're mindful of the breathing without slipping. And then you can attain the jhanas one by one, up to the 4 jhanas. And when a person attains the 4 jhanas, the mind is very strong. When the mind is very strong, then you have cut down the 5 hindrances to a very low level, which means the sloth and torpor is very low. Then only you can maintain your mindfulness without sleeping. If your mindfulness is not cut to a very low level, how can you stop yourself from sleeping? That's why the 4 jhanas are extremely important in the Buddha's teaching. Only by attaining the 4 jhanas, the Buddha says that you can become an anagamin or an arahant. Without the 4 jhanas, there is no way you can become anagamin or an arahant. I will stop here.
We just talk about unremitting mindfulness of one object. Can we take the body as one object, which means we can concentrate?
Take what?
Take body as a whole. I mean, in the Sutta, contemplating body as a lot of different objects, right? Can we take the body as a whole, as one object?
Yes.
Then which means we can contemplate briefly at one time and the 32 parts at the other time. Right?
Yes. The point of this Satipatthana or unremitting mindfulness or intense state of mindfulness, the object, the motive is to attain the jhanas. And after you attain the jhanas, you have to attain up to the 4 jhanas, according to the Buddha's words. And after you have attained the 4 jhanas, and then you come out of the 4 jhanas, and then you contemplate, for example, the 4 noble truths, and then you will understand, and then you can attain enlightenment. So in the suttas, the Buddha always says, enlightenment, you need both samatha and vipassana. The samatha part is to attain the 4 jhanas. The vipassana part is to contemplate the Buddha's Dhamma.
Okay, I don't quite understand what how the Buddha explained to overcome the 5 hindrances. He just said to know when you're ill well, you are well.
Oh no. That is just contemplating the 5 hindrances. But to get rid of the 5 hindrances, in some other suttas, it says that you have to attain jhana. When you attain jhana, then the 5 hindrances disappear. disappear or are eliminated, it means it is cut down to a very low degree so that it is no more a hindrance to you. So the only way is to attain the jhanas. When a person attains the jhanas, it is reversible. So a person has to keep practicing. But because that person has attained the jhana, it is not too difficult for him to regain it if he loses it. In the suttas, there was a disciple of the Buddha. He attained quite a high state of jhana, and then he mixed with a lot of people, and I think one of the arahants rebuked him, and one of the arahants foresaw that he would lose his jhana. And sure enough, after some time, he lost his jhana. But later, he practiced again and he regained it. For example, Devadatta is a good example. He attained all the 4 rupa jhanas and 4 arupas and had psychic power. But because of the ego and not attaining right view, he became very vain. I want to take over the Buddha's place. And when the Buddha refused him and scolded him in front of everybody, he got so angry he wanted to kill the Buddha. Then he lost all his psychic powers and he lost his jhana.
He says that contemplate the body internally, and contemplate the body externally. What do you mean by both internally and externally?
Both your own body and both outside other people's body.
But that already explained by internally and externally, but that both.
Yeah, both at the same time.
Both at the same time.
Both. Now sometimes you're contemplating, if you're contemplating your body internally, that means you only contemplate your body and not contemplate other people's body, okay? Then when you're contemplating externally, you're contemplating other people's body and not yours at all. Right? You are contemplating both. Sometimes you contemplate yours, sometimes you contemplate outside.
You switch from your body, then you switch to are you visualizing?
Depends on what you are. Not necessary. When you are sitting in meditation, you are walking about, also you can contemplate.
Whether you open your eyes or your eyes closed, is it a form of visualization when you contemplate? Or you contemplate in words, or you read, you keep reading. For example, the 2 months, can I keep reading?
Contemplate means thinking about it. Thinking about it.
Also, I think one of them said review. What did he use the word contemplate? But is that how we use review or number of the 4 elements?
Review means recapitulate, to go through again.
Then I read one book which seems to say that for the 9 Dhamma ground of meditation, he actually advises the photo, the 9 photos.
Say again?
9 corpse photo. Because it isn't a real corpse for you to see the whole.
Oh no! This is Buddha's time. They contemplate the corpse. They really go and see.
So the book says, using photo will not work.
Here the sutta doesn't say use photo.
Because the Taiwan seems to be better to see company or Suva. So I thought sometimes when I contemplate, I actually try to remember.
I have some photos. Probably Sri Lanka. They brought a corpse into a cave, and they left it into the cave for the monks to contemplate. So this photo shows the monks sitting there contemplating for many days. Of course, mealtime he'll go and eat, and then he come back, and then look at the corpse again, stay there many hours looking at the corpse. Must be very smelly, but he stay there just to see the various stages of decay, the worms and all that, maggots and all that.
Can you advise how to how you view the body? Because it's very different.
4 elements. 4 elements, I guess, because I mentioned just now, these 4 elements, they are just a perception. So if you contemplate, not only your body, all physical things in the world are characterized by these 4 things. And these 4 things, because they are perceptions, they are just a movement of the mind. Just a movement of the mind. So everything that is physical is also in the mind, in consciousness. That's, probably some other teachers will tell you another way.
Those other ways, is it better?
Well, you have to decide.
We've done contemplation of body learning and externally. How do you contemplate another person's body? Like, you don't know what's in the other person's body.
You also don't know your own body.
But at least I know about the stomach, I know about the body.
That's not what it means. What it means is to consider the nature of your body. Like head hair, body hair, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, all this. Then if you consider yourself in terms of the 4 elements, you have the heat in you, you have the hardness in you or softness, different parts of your body. There are some parts are hard, there are some parts that are soft, isn't it, in your body? There are some parts that are warm, there are some parts that are not so warm. And there's movement of air in your body, the different types of air in your body that makes your blood move, that makes your wind move, and all these things, that make your tears flow, and all these things. And then the other one, the liquids. There's so many types of liquids in your body. You can contemplate the blood, urine, pus, phlegm, snot, mucus, oil of the joints, etc. Grease that comes out from your skin, all this sweat and all these things. So all these things in your body, you can contemplate in terms in this type of thing, in this sense. And then if you think of other people's also, you can think other people's sweat is just as smelly as mine. Other people's body are just as ugly as mine.
But what would be an example of pleasant non-sensual feeling?
Pleasant non-sensual feeling. Okay, sensual and non-sensual. Sensual, I guess, refers to the 5 senses. That means from the eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. The feeling arises because of seeing, because of hearing a sound. A pleasant feeling arises because of seeing, because of hearing a sound, because of smell, taste, and touch or contact, body contact. Pleasant feeling arises. That is a pleasant sensual feeling. And then a pleasant non-sensual feeling is something from the mind. Because you think of something and then you're happy. That's a pleasant non-sensual feeling.
Okay. The mental state part. In other words, that's not the best way is actually for mindfulness, of course, but under the mindfulness, it should the person should be at all times, as much as possible, be mindful of the mental state.
Of the mental state.
Especially mental state. It is not, doing the breath or reflection on the bodies. The most important to me is the mental state. That is how the mind reacts to what we see, what we hear. And it should be a very independent kind of mindfulness. Otherwise, there's something to
You see, we contemplate the mental state for I think a different reason. We contemplate the mental state, we contemplate feelings to understand yourself better, so that you can reduce your defilements. If you contemplate your mind, your mental state, then you are more aware of your defilements. Then you can reduce it. But if you contemplate your mental state, can you attain jhana? You cannot. You wait a while.
I don't mean contemplate. I mean watchful. All time you watch your mind.
Okay, you watch your mind also. That is just to make you understand yourself, to see your defilements, right? But it will not bring you into jhana. So if you want to attain jhana, then you have to contemplate your body.
You have to finally go to the best to contemplate.
Yeah, if you want to attain jhana, because jhana, it depends on what you want. As a layman, probably you think jhana is not important for you. So as a layman, you want to watch your mind to see your defilements, so that you don't have too much defilements, don't make you suffer so much and don't make people around you suffer so much. Then you contemplate your mind and your feelings. But if you are a serious monk who wants to attain liberation, then he wants to attain the jhanas. And to attain the jhanas, then he wants to go into a cave, a quiet place, and meditate on his breath, and only his breath, until he attains one-pointedness of mind, and enter the first jhana, and from the first jhana he goes to the second jhana and all these things. So that is for a monk.
And one more thing. Those that they put inside in the Sutta, after the prayer, they put the head of God inside. So they are and so on and so on. Those are actually the inside, which is not really thinking about it, right? That is the inside. That's why we put the head inside. You know what I mean?
The inside part, the inside part probably is he wants to understand, so he contemplates, for example, arising factors in the body, vanishing factors in the body, to understand what factors cause the body to arise, what factors cause the body to deteriorate, to die and all that. So arising factors, for example, what sustains the body, what caused the body to arise in the first place, and what sustains the body. For example, the body is dependent on food, on good weather, on clothing and all that. And then vanishing factors is like the body one day must grow old, must become sick before it dies. And if you don't have the supporting conditions, that will cause the body to disappear. So this is like to understand more the nature of the body. Are you talking about the page 336?
Yeah. Because it seems that after each major breath one. Because I thought at first the mindfulness of the other inside, I thought it was some of the Sutta is an insight of vipassana that arises because of jhana. After that we come up. That is what is like. I thought that is the meaning of this insight. That is not the case. Can I also confirm what I think? Under the insight, the apart contemplating arising phenomena factor of the body and vanishing factor. When the person is doing the anapanasati awareness of breathing, is it actually while the breath goes inside the body?
No.
While the breath goes inside the
when you are contemplating the breath, you are only mindful of the breath going in and going out. You don't want to think. But this one, when he is not when he is not trying to attain jhana, then he can consider what is it that supports the breath, what is it that causes the breath to disappear and all these things, to understand better. That understanding part is not to attain jhana.
One more question. The vipassana meditation nowadays also has its base in the Satipatthana Sutta. And do you think they misunderstand the Sutta? And what will it be?
The present interpretation of the Satipatthana Sutta by the people who practice vipassana, you see this vipassana method that is taught now comes from the commentaries. And in the commentaries, they say that a person, there are 5 types of persons who become arahant, which is contradictory to the suttas. So that being the case, their interpretation of the Satipatthana is also contradictory to the real intent of the Buddha. Because in the Buddha's words, there is a sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. The Buddha says, to eliminate the 5 lower factors, you need to attain the 4 jhanas. In other words, to become an anagamin or an arahant, you need to eliminate the 4. You need to attain the 4 jhanas. So the condition to become an arahant or anagamin is the 4 jhanas. But in the commentaries, they say there are 5 types of arahant. There is one who has attained 4 jhanas. There is one who has attained 3 jhanas. This is not possible. There's one who has attained 2 jhanas. Also not possible. There's one who has attained 1 jhana. Also not possible. And then there's one that has no jhana. And then they use this last one. They call it the pure vipassana arahant. And then they use this to say that you can practice pure vipassana meditation without any jhana. So they interpret the practice of Satipatthana in terms of Kanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, which is not mentioned by the Buddha at all, because it's such a ordinary samadhi. Everybody has momentary concentration. That means you are mindful of one object after another, mindful object of another, which everybody has. So they use that to say you can practice Satipatthana by this way, using only momentary concentration, no need to attain jhana. But you look here, when he talks about the 4 noble truths, let me see, under page what? Okay, page 349. What is right concentration? Here, right concentration is 1st jhana, 2nd jhana, 3rd and 4th jhana. So how can you practice Satipatthana without the 4 jhanas? Here is very clear, it says the 4 jhanas. isn't it? So what do you think? You think the interpretation that you can practice Satipatthana without the 4 jhanas is correct or not? Also, if you listen to the Samyutta Nikaya talks or read the Samyutta Nikaya, you find that in the Satipatthana Samyutta, there is one sutta where the Buddha gave a simile of the cook. And in that sutta, the Buddha says, a skillful monk, if he practices Satipatthana, he must end up with concentration, must attain the jhanas. But another unskillful monk, he practices Satipatthana and then he does not end up with concentration. He does not get the jhanas. That is the unskillful way of practicing. So the skillful way of practicing, it must end up with jhana. That's why I say it is an intense state, unremitting mindfulness. That's why I always say that it's important to study many suttas. Some people, they just study Satipatthana Sutta and they say, no need jhana. Even this Mahasatipatthana Sutta, I say that you need the 4 jhanas. But in the shorter one, the Satipatthana Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya, it does not talk about the 4 noble truths. Because it does not talk about the 4 noble truths, it doesn't mention about right concentration. But here, when it mentions about right concentration, then definitely 4 jhanas are necessary. Otherwise, a person, if he does not attain the 4 jhanas, then he is practicing the nobles, the unnoble 7-fold path. The noble path is the noble 8-fold path. The ignoble path is the 7-fold path.
Okay, and to cultivate jhana using Satipatthana, one of the most important factors is that we contemplate body as a body, or feeling as feeling, mind as mind. This is very important.
Body in the body.
Body in the body.
So especially the body one. If you want to attain jhana, you must contemplate the body. Like Anapanasati or the 32 parts of the body. Shall we end here tonight?